We're not quite done there, though, yet here in Spain. We've got the small matter of an X30 senior final to bring us to a close here at Zuaira.
On the sideline as well, waiting for the whistle to be blown, and it is the case. The green flag is waving. So many contenders potentially going for the win on that senior field. It's about time to present to you the actors, the warriors of that first senior final as part of the IAME Euro Series. Here's a look at the grid.
Let's take you through it then. 36 drivers from a possible 66 have qualified for this final on pole position. On home soil, it's Javier Borrasca for MDC Racing. Dan Alleman for Spirit Karting in his first Euro Series X30 Senior final in the championship starts alongside on the front row. Ruben Moya and Danny Carinini are going to start this race very quickly from row number 2. Otto Pikkanen has been patient with his racecraft so far this week. Starts on row 3 alongside Julian Cervillo. Aaron Garcia, the reigning champion, starts his defence in finals from row 4. He is joined by a driver who finished the season in 2025 with a victory at Marienburg, Matthias van der Kerkhoff. Matteo Rivers and Amir Sabarov go from row 5. It's Sem van der Heijden and Emmanuel Leerdijkers going from 6. Adam Rahali and Clement Lutron go from row 7. Bertram Sash and Stigdor Edemaker go from row 8. Toby Gale and Sebastian Mins complete the first half of the grid on row number 9.
Row number 10, we'll see Morgan Moore and Elias Lehmann as we jump on board with Juan Sorvillo. Row 11, Gabriel Stilt and Roxad Nantinga. Gabriel Teixeira and Matteo Meli are row number 12. Row number 13, Luna Claret and Alex Martinez. Andy Rattel, Daniel Macia, row number 14. Gauthier San Juan and Marc Granada, row number 15. Row number 16, Maurice Bachreus and Eloy Gonzalez. Aaron Wida, Peter Stiller, row 17. And at the back end, we have Alex Machado and Max Yule. 36 competitors onto this grid. We lost a portion of the number of entries that we had entering this round in the senior category. 66 to start with, only 36, almost half of that entering the most important of races this week. Now, who can get his hands on the trophy? That's a big question. Not qualified for the final, unfortunately, carry Yanis Bouillet and Kevin Backer, as we feared. We're just on the verge of the potential qualification. Kevin Backer, due to a DNF, unfortunately, in his superheat, will not be taking part into this race, as well as the many other drivers that were left on the sideline. They will come back even stronger for round 2 in Franciacorta in 1 month's time.
They will indeed. Final preparations then for the X30 senior drivers before the first final of the year in the X30 Senior IAME Euro Series. And of course, again, if you weren't with us at Valencia, you didn't miss much in terms of finals because they didn't run because of the weather on that earlier event in the year. So we are in a bit of unknown territory. We've got no data, we've got no previous races to go on at this level so far this year to indicate how drivers perform across the course of the races. There's so many unknowns going into this one with such a high quality field. If you've got something that you can hold on to, a chair, a sofa, somebody that you're watching with, grab it now. This could be a frenetic start. It's going to be a slow one. This is the Ruben Moya trick, now being employed by Javier Borrasca, keeping it calm, waiting for that acceleration line, coming to that acceleration line and getting this final underway then in Spain. Great start for Javier Borrasca.
Oh.
Ruben Moore's up to second place. There's already drivers being collected in the second half of the field, already drivers falling out of contention, but it is again like we saw with Ruben Moya in the heats. Oh my goodness, all sorts going on in the second half of the field through turn number 4. It's not just about keeping things safe and calm. It's about getting that gap, making sure that you can't be caught with the slipstream by the time you get to turn number 2. Brilliantly done by Javier Borrasca. He's got a lead probably of about 6 or 7 or 8 tenths now up towards Moya, and similarly Moya to Carinini. Now the race goes into a second phase. Can the two older drivers, the stalwarts of this level, catch the new boy?
Yeah, certainly that will be the battle of the slightly older, more experienced generations and the new ones trying to shake up the order just a tiny bit. One of the MDCs further down is trying to mix bet. Yeah, Garcia and Julian Sorvillo as well battling along. This is one lap completed here into lap number 2. Javier Boasca, Ruben Moya, Dani Caronini, Sorvillo, Piconen, Garcia, Aleman down to P7. The VDK driver, not the best of getaway for the young Swiss driver in front of Sam van der Eyden, Adam Rahali and Matthias van der Kerkhove. Look at that battle raging as Aaron Garcia seems to be slightly pushed by Otto Piconen. The battle is on. Dan Aleman could take advantage of that, stays behind down in 7th place. But there was a bit of a moment, a heated moment, shall I say, between Garcia and Piconen.
I was going to say, if there's any question of whether Dan Aleman has got any fear against this new group of drivers for him, stepping up from the juniors, that move there on the reigning champion, ladies and gentlemen, would suggest that the answer is a firm and definite no for that one. The 222 just hooks onto the back of Otto Piconen now. Otto Piconen, who has been very shrewd at the wheel so far this week. If it's not for a front fairing penalty earlier on in the heats, he could have had 3 heat wins on the trot. He definitely had 2 across the course of yesterday. So watch out for him in the second half of this one. And sitting there behind Aaron Garcia, that's not a bad place to be on lap number 3. Here we are on board with Julian Sorvillo, the 245 for MCK Racing, currently running in 4th place is the Belgian. That's Danny Caronini immediately ahead of us, who has a quick check over the shoulder. Caronini's just done the fastest lap of the race in the early stages of this one as out of the race. That's Gautier San Juan, who had that brilliant run in the final round of heats yesterday. It looked like he turned the corner. It looked like he was going towards the front. No more here in this final. The Swiss man is out.
Yeah, quite an unfortunate finish to his weekend. As for 2nd place, look who's coming to play. Danny Caronini making his bid up to P2 in front of Ruben Moya on lap number 3. 16 laps. This is the longest race those drivers will have to face this weekend. And in the early stages, well, we are on for sure between Moya and Caronini. But we're playing the long game here because Javier Boasca, almost a half of a second advantage. Danny Caronini felt the need of getting ahead of Ruben Moya to lead that chasing train. Otherwise, the gap could extend quite quickly. We've seen Javier Boasca in similar fashion before. We know how solid it can be in those situations. Julian Sorvillo, we're going to run on board in no time with him once again because he's trying to push like never before to get as well as close as possible to Ruben Moya, not to lose contact with that leading train, because look at the gap behind. If he loses contact with the drivers ahead, he's going to find himself maybe under even more pressure from those behind, with Aaron Garcia, Piconen and Aleman in their own explanation, but trying as well to gain as much momentum as they can. But 2 different groups, anything could happen in those 2 at the same time.
Absolutely. Garcia turning a good pace at the moment. He's had troubles with the equipment perhaps through the last couple of races. Sebastian Mins is under investigation, potentially cutting the circuit as here comes Caronini. Caronini down the inside through turn 1, that corner he absolutely loves. And the Italian hits the front. Danny Caronini hasn't gone home with a race P1 trophy in the IAME Euro Series for a very, very, very long time. He's had a lot of P2s, he's had a lot of podiums. That consistency took him to a championship in 2024. He's taken the checkered flag first at times as well. Remember the IAME Winter Cup last year, which he then lost in the scrutineers room post-race. Danny Caronini, I think going into this weekend, isn't thinking championship. He wants to take home a P1. He wants to prove to the IAME karting racing world that a year on, he's still got it. He is still the man to beat. Later on in the year, he might think about championship if the opportunity arises to take back that number 1 plate from Aaron Garcia. But that's all to come when we go to Franciacorta, when we go to Wackersdorf, when we go to Ghent, when we go to these circuits later on in the year. That's all focuses for the future. Right now, he's trying to do what I repeat time and time again as Moya goes down the inside of Boasca. Hints that Boasca hasn't got the pace in this one. And look at Sorvillo coming in now as well for 3rd place. Brilliant driving once again from the Belgian Boasca. There's nothing he can do about that. I'll repeat it again. Danny Caronini's 10 out of 10 A-star tactic is exactly this. Get into track position, get P1. Normally does it off the start of a race from pole position per se. And I don't know how he does it. That's why I'm a commentator and not a race driver out there on the track. But he just has this ability of going, right, I'm going to thrash in 2, maybe 3 lightning quick laps that just make the rest of the field drop and make them think, we're not going to beat this guy. We're not going to be able, we're going to have to take so much energy out of ourselves just to catch the Italian. Never mind get past him. And look at the lead that Carinini has now, 0.9 of a second over Moya and Sorvillo. Sorvillo right on the rear bumper now of Ruben Moya, who earlier on in this weekend looked like the favourite, had that run through the first 4 qualifying heats, just needed to be in the top 4 to get one of the pole positions for a superheat before his piston failed, his engine seized, he retired at this very spot through turn number 5. He's still got a chance of winning this race and breaking a streak that goes all the way back to Genk in 2024, the last time Ruben Moya won a round of the IAME Euro Series, but he's going to have to dig really, really deep into that deep Spanish talent bag of his on his brand new PB kart prepared OTK Red Speed machine if he's going to win this race.
Yeah, still plenty of work to apply if he wants to make sure to get his hands on that trophy. He always easier said than done. We were almost close to the second advantage for Danny Carinini as they come across once again onto lap number 8. And it's over the second now, taking advantage of the battle between Moya and Julian Sorvillo. Those two still with a bit of a chance to get that chase going with Danny Carinini. Very solid in the lead. Those two on the podiums. As there's the switch, Julian Sorvillo for the first time in this final finds himself in second place. That could go the way of our pole sitter, Javier Proasca. We had forgot a little bit about the Spanish for a moment there, focusing on the battle in front, but Javier Proasca still very much into this final. Not certainly in the place that he would have hoped, having started from pole, but the MDC driver is still very much in this explanation with a shot at one of the places in the podium. He needs to really dig deep into the machine and into his oneself to make sure to get past Ruben Moya. Moya seems to be losing a bit of momentum, not in the most comfortable of places. Let's not forget that he didn't run that engine as much as the ones before, just 1 heat and a bit of mileage for that new unit that he just put yesterday after the failure of his previous one. So that might have, maybe that might play a little bit into that overall performance of his package that has been tremendous, except for that DNF yesterday. But could we see maybe as well strategy coming into play, Proasca gaining ahead of Moya at some point, and those two dropping momentum? That could be the day of Julian Sorvillo.
It could be indeed. This is going to be an interesting lap, this. Sorvillo is a little bit quicker than Carinini through the first sector. Let's do one of our look-throughs further down the field. Who's having a good race? Roxanne Lantinga. I'm sure later on in the season we're going to be seeing Roxanne Lantinga in one of these finals further towards the front. She's not had the best of luck so far this weekend, but when that kart has been running right and there haven't been other karts running into her and other stuff as well, it's gone well, and up 12 positions in this race is Roxanne Lantinga, and Roxanne's just set the fastest lap of this race so far, so potentially run towards the top 5, perhaps top 6. It's going to be a bit of a stretch with 7 laps of this race to go, but good to see there. Clement Lutron's having a stronger race as well. Clement Lutron, unfortunately, has had too many races where he's fallen backwards. Well, this is the flip around this time. The French driver's up 5 places. Morgan Moore as well was on the podium yesterday for the award ceremony from the IAME Winter Cup. He was second through the heats before the finals day. Unfortunately didn't run. He's having a good race as well, up 7 places to 12th, and just one more for good measure. Alex Machado, your biggest mover in this race so far, up 16 places is the Andorran for the DRM Racing team, and it puts him up in 19th.
Impressive run indeed, as some of those drivers stuck in within the midfield trying to finish their weekend on a high under the close watch of a lot of people on the sideline. Thank you once again very much for joining us this weekend on location here to kick things off for the IAME Euro Series, about to come to a close, but not without one last epic battle. Carinini in the lead, 1.5 seconds. Sorvillo up into second place. Proasca, Moya, Dan Aleman. Look at the Swiss man just coming back from the dead pretty much from P5. Is going to get into play with Ruben Moya on the way to turn number 2. Sniffing a little bit on the outside of the Spaniard. The Spaniard too busy focusing on Proasca just in front. He's going to have to defend. He's going to have to... Oh, there he goes! A slight contact. That door is shut. Wide open. And Dan Aleman goes into that little bit of a tiny edge between the driver and the curb. That was enough for Dan Aleman to force his way through. Ruben Moya not particularly happy about what just happened. There was some slight contact there into the process of the maneuver. But as a result, I'm afraid that Roscar is losing momentum. He's about to lose another place. Otto Pikkonen from Crack Promotion is coming back at him. And he goes on the inside. And Dan Aleman is dropping 2 places at once, putting 2 wheels on the grass.
And that was an example for Dan Aleman of welcome to seniors, young lads, when you try and put a move on those who've been around for a bit longer. And early on in a X30 senior driver's career, it's quite often you see that from the older drivers say, no, not yet. Just you stay there behind us and learn all the tricks of the trade at this level. Here is the battle for third. Otto Pikkonen, he knows the tricks of the trade in senior international karting. Aleman's responded back down the inside of Baraska and retaken 5th place. Moya looking a bit exasperated there, asking for a bit of help from Otto Pikkonen to potentially catch back up to Sorvillo there in 2nd place. And all the while this is going on, Danny Caronini continues to pace his way around this near 1.7 kilometre circuit. 2.5 seconds in the lead of this race. Here's the view on board with Julian Sorvillo, and just there you saw the small speck on the screen of Danny Caronini. He is that far ahead now, but he's been in this position before. I can't help but feel nervous for Danny, who's been very good to us in the box over the years. He always has time for us, good days and bad days. He is 4 laps away from this being a very good day indeed. There is the battle for third once again. Ruben Moya and Otto Pikkonen. Is Aleman going to throw it in there? That's a nice move from Dan Aleman. That's how you overtake. And this is what we're talking about. He's learned so much from his junior career. Pikkonen's going to try and come back at him, though. Here comes Broaska once again into play. Matteo Rivals is also on the scene. And Roxanne Lantinga's going to get involved in this as well. We said Roxanne Lantinga could get up into the top 6. Never mind that. She could still get on the podium at this rate, Guillaume. It is all going off here as through goes Rivals. There goes Lantinga. That's great decision making. That's what we've talked about with Roxanne Lantinga. It evaded her a little bit yesterday, but that's the kind of moving that she's been doing so far this year. It is one of her best strengths, and it's got her up to, what is that going to be now? 5th, 6th place with 3 laps to go. Caronini's lead is still just under 3 seconds.
Yeah, incredible piece of driving from Roxanne Lantinga. She only has half of a second to try to decrease from Javier Roscoa. And as I said, I think that Otto Pikkonen just made his way past her once again. Yeah, she's lost another place. Otto Pikkonen in the lead. Oh, and contact Pikkonen. Is it Pikkonen? Down onto, yes it is. Unfortunately for the Finn driver, seemed to be, no, I thought for a bit of a discomfort, but certainly exasperated about what just happened. Otto Pikkonen could have been certainly a contact somewhere into the heat of the battle for Pikkonen, who picked up a couple of qualifying races wins. One of the contenders, certainly still in course for a podium finish, but unfortunately his race on lap number 14 will go no longer than that.
And no repeat of the podium that Otto Pikkonen had here last year for round number 2. 2 laps to go. Come on, Danny, you can do this. This can be the day that has been a long time coming. And as I say, he's been a champion. He won in 2024. Remember back to that race at Genk, where he sat behind Ruben Moya. He was in a championship winning position. It was a championship winning day. He didn't go for the race win on that day. There was quite an exchange between them as Moya started to defend. But this isn't about a championship today. This is about getting that P1 trophy. Meanwhile, here's your scrap for 2nd place. Sorvillo, Moya, Broaska, Aleman. There's only 2 more places on the podium, you would think, at this stage. These 4 are going to fight tooth and nail for it. Aleman's trying to go around the outside there, maybe switching back off of turn 7. That's really smart driving. This is great from Dan Aleman. That's going to get close. How have they got through that corner? Back in comes Matteo Rivals. Sorvillo is holding them all up now. The threat for Sorvillo is he could lose out completely on a podium position now. He's not looking strong at the latter stages of this race. Maybe inexperience starting to hurt him. Broaska's got down the inside and now he's out of the train. Sorvillo's going to be in trouble here because Broaska's going to get pushed. by Rivals, by Alaman, by Moya, by Garcia's now back part of this, and Roxanne Lantinga. Plus 5 second penalty for Otto Pikkanen. That's not going to matter at this stage of the race. Through into second place comes Baraska. Please, drivers, keep it together. You've been fantastic across the course of the weekend. But there's now, how many is that? Is that 7 drivers going for 2 trophies on the podium? Alaman is out wide. Moya's going to be wheel to wheel with him and gets, oh, that's bold stuff from Ruben Moya to take 3rd place. 5 second penalty for Granada now as well. Slinging it around the outside there is Cirillo, but that's not going to work. But for Danny Caronini, this is a moment he has long been waiting for. For Sankey Motorsport, they hit a low yesterday with that DNF. But here in Spain, Danny Caronini at last has won a final in the IAME Euro Series over the line. 2nd place goes to Javier Baraska. Ruben Moya makes it a double Spanish podium on home soil. What a race, Guillaume. What a performance, not just from our top 3, but the entire 36-strong field. That is one of the best weeks of X30 senior racing I've ever seen.
Yeah, certainly so. Congratulations to Danny Caronini, your final winner in the senior class. We've seen him winning races on national and international level over the years. Consistency was always his key element in picking up the title in 2024. But ever since his win in the IWF of 2021 in Adria, as Danny Caronini managed to win a Euro Series final at this level. This should be the first time. It took a long time coming for the Sankey Motorsport driver, finally getting once again his hands on the final trophy to get his season going on the most perfect note. Incredible demonstration, 6.4 seconds even on the line from the rest of the field. The second train led by Javier Baraska, all pole position driver, 2nd place finish in front of Ruben Moya from Dan Alaman, Matteo Rivals, Aaron Garcia, Clément Autran climbing 7 places up to 7 from Roxanne Lantinga, 14 places getting up to P8. If it wasn't for that little moment with Otto Pikkanen that resulted into the DNF of the Finn driver, I'm sure she might have been even higher than that, but what a way to conclude the weekend. 10 places gained for Morgan Moore up to P9 from Emmanuel Liudakis that we have seen shining through the course of the week. Not quite able to finish as high as he would have liked, but still a solid P10 result.